What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Playmaker Wave with the playbook. Hoping you have a great day, morning, or evening. And y'all read the title, man. $3,000 in one day using this Forex strategy. All right. Now, if this is your first time on the channel, welcome. I appreciate you giving this video a chance. Make sure to hit that bell and sub button because we don't just post weekly content like this, but we post weekly stock analysis, weekly crypto and altcoin analysis, and most importantly, we live stream and live trade every day, London session 3 a.m. EST on this very same channel. So we're not your typical investment or day trading channel. We show you how to make money both on the front end as well as on the back end when it comes to investing on these charts and in these markets. You know, I got to give a special shout out to the members and students. We went 5-0 last week, giving us a 100% win rate. If you scroll to April 1st, you'll see how we ended March 13-1, give us a 93% win rate, and how we ended quarter one. We went 44-5, giving us a 90% win rate. January, we went 17-3, February 14-1, and then again March 13-1, catching a total of 155,207 pips. You go to where it says subscribers, you scroll down to photos. There's 1,500 photos over 3 years worth of receipts. You can see screenshots of positions, screenshots of signals, as well as student results and testimonials. So, like I said, we live stream every day. Speaking of live streaming, I got to give a special shout out to one of my students here. This is my boy Isaac. You can see here in the screenshot, he said, oh, you can't see the top, but he said, basically, he was in the London session live, applied by learning the course. Once the news kicked in, it just kept on going. And he purchased the course about 4 months ago. So this is 4 months of him locking in. Now, I think he did have some prior experience. I'm gonna be transparent before he came and found me. But I know he purchased the course like about 4 months ago. So at the beginning of the year. And as you can see, if you just stick to the playbook, trust the analysis, go with the flow of price, the money comes, right? And as you can also see, it says once the news kicked in, it just kept going. You can see the bounce right there from the news candlestick, a nice push to the upside. DC sent me a screenshot saying P&L, $3,188.52. Thank you. And I said, this is the shit I like to see because I love to see that. So anyone that be watching the London session lives, the Sunday chart analysis, especially the students in the advanced play student or the playmakers and the course channel one-on-one sessions, let the people know, y'all. So keep sending them receipts to me. I love seeing that stuff. Obviously, I get a bunch, and you know, if y'all don't want me to post it, I ain't gonna post it. But if y'all don't care and y'all give me the green light, I will post it. But as y'all can see, this is the exact same chart that he took that trade on, and this is GPJPY. So before we break things down, I just need y'all to understand that there is no coincidences in the markets. And once you truly understand how price works and moves, it doesn't matter if it's high impact news, low volume, high volume, uptrend, downtrend, bank holidays, price is always going to follow these rules. Now, again, we had news on Thursday. We had GP news yesterday on Thursday. When we go to Thursday, we had news at 7:02, 7:30, and then 8:30 for USD. So we can clearly see here how price retested this level right before the news, and then when the news candlestick popped off, it respected this level and went zone to zone. And then when 8:30 news popped off, retested this level and then pushed up the rest of the day. So this literally shows that it doesn't matter if it's a news event or not, it still follows these price points and levels. And for the naysayers that think I'm just making stuff up, all you have to do is go to the same YouTube channel you're on, go to live streams, and then go to the live stream that's going to be dated May 8th on Thursday. And you'll see that we literally broke this down live. All right. So now we're going to break down why we was going for buys when a lot of people was probably not looking for buys, and how you can catch a similar setup just like this one. Now, depending on what his stop loss was, and depending on where he exited at, he could have had a 1-to-2 or a 1-to-3, almost 1-to-4 risk to ratio setup, meaning whatever he risked, you could have made 2 to 3 times that amount. So for example, if you would have risked $100, you could have made $300. If you would have risked $1,000, you could have made $3,000 off this one trade alone. So the first thing I always tell the members and students you need to do is you need to identify the trend. Before you take any setup, you need to figure out what the bias is. Now, you don't just need to identify the trend on any time frame, you need to identify the trend on the bigger time frames. Now, before I lose you, I'm not saying we're trading on the bigger time frames. We're just simply identifying the trend on the bigger time frames, because that's how price works and moves. Price moves on a day by day, week by week, month by month basis. The smaller time frames only explain and tell you what price is doing at that exact moment, versus the bigger time frames tell you the direction price is going. Both are important, but used for two completely different things. So when we look at GBP/JPY right here, things could get a little tricky, right? This was Wednesday, well, this was Tuesday, right? That said it was on Thursday. So this was Tuesday before the next day. So a lot of people would have thought this was bearish momentum or looking for sells. But before price did this move, and the easiest way to figure out if we're in an uptrend or downtrend is by simply just drawing what an uptrend looks like and drawing what a downtrend looks like. And then when we just look at the chart, which one of these two does price look like we're in, an uptrend or downtrend? But wait, look at that red candlestick. Isn't that sells? Don't that mean sells? Green doesn't always mean buy. Red does not always mean sell, which is why it's so important to stick to the playbook. If y'all do not have the price action technical analysis playbook, at least y'all need this. It works on stocks, forex, options, and crypto. This teaches you how to understand what price is doing. It teaches you all three cycles price is ever going to be in, rules of the uptrend, rules of the downtrend, and how to never be confused ever when you're on the charts again. And I can confidently say that because it's true. And we've been doing this and using the playbook for 3 years and been averaging high 80, high 90% win rates consistently on a weekly, monthly, and quarterly basis. Y'all saw the receipts earlier in the live. So once you get the playbook, it's going to be linked in the comments, by the way, you need to read it in order. It's placed in order. So you just read it in order. Now, after you read the book once or twice, this is how you use the book to make sure you're doing the right, you're going for the right setups and the right moves, okay? So we go to the table of contents. Since we're in the uptrend, we go to the rules of the uptrend. Now, I know some of y'all still think we're not in an uptrend, or you might think sells, but I'm going to explain why we're in the uptrend. So again, you see, we go over a lot of stuff. Right? But let's go to the rules of the uptrend. All right, so now we're at the rules of the uptrend. What does it say? It says, in order for the uptrend to continue, we need to break past the previous high, which gives us a new higher high. Look at photo below. We also have to respect the support level the higher low is resting on. Look at photo below. Now, when we look at GBP/JPY, we can see that price is underneath the support level the higher low is resting on. But what did we say about that? Rejections and reversals happen, but a reversal doesn't always mean the trend is going to change. As long as price doesn't turn the support level into a resistance and or make a lower low, we are still in an uptrend and still only looking for buys. So again, when we look at GBP/JPY here, we did not hold this level as resistance yet, right? So we're not looking for sells yet. So this is where the patience really comes into play. And we can see when we go to Wednesday, our price did not break and hold that level as resistance, showing that price still has bullish momentum and we still need to look for buys. And again, just go to Wednesday's live stream, go to Thursday's live stream. You'll literally hear me talk about looking for buys, okay? We understand that we're still in an uptrend. Let's go back to the rules of the uptrend. We still need to break this resistance level, hold it at support, which will give us a new higher high. So again, now that we understand we're in an uptrend, we understand that price is still respecting holding this level as support based off Wednesday. So then we fast forward to tomorrow morning, London session, Thursday morning London session. We're going to mark off our key price levels, and then we're going to figure out exactly where we're going to enter and exit at. So once you identify the trend, you understand the market conditions, this is when you mark your key price levels off, and then you look where you want to enter and exit at. Boom. So now we got our key price levels marked off. So again, we're in an uptrend, so we only want to look for buys. Just like if we're in a downtrend, you only want to look for sells. Now, why is that? Because trading is all about going for high probability, high quality setups. And what would be a high probability, high quality setup if we're in an uptrend? Looking for buys. Because if we're in an uptrend, the moves up are way bigger than the moves down. The move up, way bigger than the move down. But I know you're thinking, but wait, what about this move? Again, like we just talked about, rejection reversals happen, but a reversal does always mean the trend is going to change. So at this time, we're still going to be looking for buys because we're in the uptrend and the confirmations of buys for the downtrend has not been met yet. So this is then when we go into a smaller time frame to look for our confirmations. Now, you want to enter buys off support buys off support, and you want to enter sells off resistance levels. Okay. So since we're in the uptrend, we're looking for buys, we need to enter buys off of support levels. So we got a few options. We can either look for a buy here if it holds that support, but we still need to break this resistance level, hold it back as support for the uptrend to continue. Okay, so as long as we can maintain and hold this level of support, we're bullish. We're going to be looking for buys. So this was obviously Wednesday, going towards the end of New York session. So we're going to simply just fast forward to Tokyo session, going into London session. We're almost there. Let's fast forward a little bit more. Okay, here we are. This was London session. So boom, we was live London session. And this is why, again, you don't want to break out trade. You want to patiently wait for price to, again, treat this level from resistance back to a support level. So we patiently had to wait for price to do that. Now price broke this level. So you could have went for this trade set up here, but I personally like to wait for retest confirmations. And the reason why I like to wait for retest confirmations is because just like how we saw right here, just because price breaks a level doesn't mean it's ready to hold that level. Just because price breaks that level doesn't mean it's ready to hold that level. So if I see price not only break a level, but retest and hold that support, that's going to give us automatically a higher likelihood of when we do finally pull the trigger and go for that setup, that ends up going our way and going in our favor. Makes sense, y'all? So I always like to wait for a retest confirmation. So again, this was 6 a.m. We had news at 7 a.m. So when we hit the play button, look what happens as soon as the news plays out. Look at how quick that happened, right? This was a 645 candlestick. This was a 7 a.m. candlestick. So again, this literally shows y'all that it doesn't matter if it's a bank holiday, high volume, low volume, high impact news events. Price has to follow these rules no matter what. So again, we was in an uptrend. We was looking for buys. This level was struggling to be held back as support. So is it a shock or surprise that when price retested this low, it held that support and then shot up when we had bullish momentum? No, right? That's just how price works, right? Now, I personally do not recommend, because I got to be transparent. I personally don't recommend trading on news candlesticks, but this time it did work out, and a lot of times it does work out as far as we take trades prior to the news. But I always like to say, if it's an hour or two before the news event, your confirmation event, you like to set up, take it. But if it's like 30 minutes or during the news, I personally would like to wait 30 minutes to an hour after the news event played out to then look for setups. But this is just more proof in the pudding that the playbook works no matter what when you follow these rules, right? So again, it's literally that simple, y'all. You identify the trend, you follow the trend. You don't chase price, you follow the flow of price. You enter buys in uptrend, enter sells in a downtrend only. You enter buys off support levels, you enter sells off resistance levels. You wait for the retest confirmation. Then you take the setup and let price do all the work, because again, we do not control the markets. We only control when we enter a trade, we control when we exit a trade, and we control how much we risk per trade. And this is why it's so important to follow the flow price on the bigger time frame, because if we was on the smaller time frame, we would have saw price do this drop here and we would have assumed bearish momentum. So then when price broke back down below here but failed to hold as resistance again and did this move here, people would have chopped this up as a fake out liquidity sweep. But in all actuality, we was still in the uptrend, so buys was still valid, which is why you saw how price played out yesterday. So again, what is the rules of the uptrend? For the uptrend to continue, we need to break past the previous high, which gives us a new higher high. So we see here that GJ is literally in real time trying to do that. It came back to the previous higher high, and now it's doing what? Was attempting to do what? Respect the support level higher low is resting on, breaking past the previous high, which gives a new higher high. So it has to break this resistance level, treat that support. So this is what GJ is trying to do in real time right now, as we can see, right? So it's literally that simple, y'all. If you go with the flow of price, you're going to be able to catch the bigger moves as well. Because look at this big move compared to how long it took for price to do this retracement versus how long it took for price to shoot back up and cancel that retracement, right? There's a reason why this move was way bigger and quicker than this move down, because again, we're in an uptrend. If y'all enjoyed this video, y'all make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Comment down below any questions, comments, concerns you may have. Make sure to hit that first link in the description and join the free signal room for your Telegram. If you're interested in learning how to identify these levels, my signal room service, my mentorship program, hit those links in the description, y'all. Again, the course, one-on-one session, advanced play signal room, all that stuff is available. You see how accurately price reacts to these levels. You got to know how to read the charts, and you got to learn how to mark up these levels, y'all. But before you make a decision, let me tell you a little bit about those details. Advanced play signal room, we trade Tokyo session exclusively with the members. We trade London session and then New York. Just like the Sunday chart analysis I drop in the free signal room, I drop one every day during New York session called the New York Price Watch List. This is where I go over the trades we took during Tokyo session, London session, and possible setups going into New York. I don't just say we're looking for buys or looking for sells. I explain why we're looking for buys, why we're looking for sells, and then I take it a step further and go over key price points to look for entries and exits on. As you can see here, I call this signal. You see I'm walking y'all through what's going on with the trades we're in. I'm giving y'all updates to what I talked about in the New York Price Watch List. And then of course you see me showing y'all screenshots to visually show y'all what's going on behind the scenes, or what I see on my end behind the scenes. All right, we also have exclusive live streams that we go live during New York news events at least twice a week. And just like the London session lives, if you missed the live, they're recorded and posted in here so you can watch them when you get a chance. You have access to over 500 videos of daily chart analysis and weekly live streams. And in fact, you have access to even the ones last year in 2022. Then there's also the pinned messages like the account size key, the student and member group chat, and much more. Now, I also have the course, of course. The course doesn't just teach you my trading strategy, it also teaches you how to read the charts, because that's what I teach y'all. You saw I had no indicators, no trend lines. It's simply just market flow and trading and entering and exiting off key price levels. Now, all the stuff that I just went over, you get access to all that stuff in the course channel. So that way, not only do you have the step-by-step playbook of how to look and read any chart at all times, but you have ongoing chart analysis, ongoing education for life. Now, I also have one-on-one sessions. One-on-one sessions also comes with access to the advanced play signal room and the student member group chat. That way you can earn while you learn, but then you also get 2 sessions a week that are recorded an hour long, but you also get 2 sessions a week that are recorded in an hour long and they're sent to you the same day. Those are yours to keep for life. So if you're interested in that, hit those links in the description. If y'all want to contact me directly, y'all can DM me on Instagram at playmaker_way. Also make sure to follow me on there, and TikTok _playmakerway_. I post daily on both pages. And I'll see y'all next time I'm live or next time I post a video. Peace. We out.